Okay, buckle up, because this deep dive is gonna get, like, really meta. You sent over some research about AI and manipulation, and let me tell you, it's got me looking at my phone in a whole new light. It's like that moment you realize the magician isn't really making things disappear. There's always a trick, right?
And just like those masterful illusionists, AI is, weaving its own brand of magic, so to speak. It's influencing decisions
Yes.
and shaping opinions in ways you might not even realize. And the most intriguing part,
Get me with it.
this isn't some far-off dystopian future. We're talking about right here, right now.
When I first dove into this research by Martello Ienka, there was this immediate, wait, is my phone listening to me moment. But it goes way beyond targeted ads. Like,
Yeah.
Ienka breaks down manipulation into 4 key elements: intentionality, asymmetry of outcome, non-transparency, and a violation of autonomy.
That's right. Those are the building blocks of manipulation. Think of it like this. Let's say you're buying a used car, and the seller conveniently forgets to tell you about that persistent engine issue.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
Right. They're intentionally hiding information to steer you towards a choice that, that benefits them, leaving you with the short end of the stick. A classic example of manipulation in action.
Classic. And it feels like AI just throws gasoline on that fire, right? I mean, we're not talking about shady used car salespeople here. We're talking about algorithms.
Yeah.
Algorithms designed to be persuasive, often by picking at our, emotional soft spots.
What's that bypassing reason aspect of AI that makes it so powerful? And potentially concerning. It's one thing to be aware of a persuasive argument, but AI can, it can sidestep our usual defenses.
Yeah.
Tapping into our emotions and biases in ways that, traditional manipulation just couldn't achieve.
It's like that saying, we buy on emotion then justify with logic. But in this case, the logic part might be getting completely bypassed.
Totally.
And that makes everyone vulnerable, even the most skeptical among us. So how is AI pulling this off? What's Ienka say about all this?
Well, Eka calls this new wave, digital manipulation.
Yeah.
And it's all about using technology to hit those 4 elements. Intentionality, asymmetry, non-transparency, violation of autonomy,
Right.
in brand new ways. And one of the most powerful tools in its arsenal, your data.
Here we go.
Every click, every search you make online, it's all fuel for the AI engine.
Okay, now it's getting creepy. But you're saying even seemingly harmless things, like those eerily accurate recommendations you get, social media or shopping sites, that's part of this digital manipulation.
Absolutely. AI analyzes your past behavior to,
Yeah.
to predict and often subtly influence your future choices. Let's say you're scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
And you see an ad for those shoes you've been eyeing. Coincidence, maybe not. It could be AI using your browsing history to, serve you up the perfect temptation.
It's like they're reading my mind. Or maybe just my search history. It was arguably scarier.
Exactly. And while personalized ads might seem, harmless, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Let's say you're researching a topic online, and AI starts feeding you only articles that confirm your existing beliefs. That's where things get really interesting and potentially problematic. Ienka calls this the filter bubble.
Okay, so filter bubbles, data-driven mind reading. Definitely not what I had in mind for fun with AI. This is where those scary scenarios Ienka mentioned start creeping in, right? I mean, we've all heard those stories about social media algorithms, algorithms designed to keep you glued to your screen for hours on end.
And it's not just the time suck. It's the potential impact on our, on our mental well-being and even our understanding of the world. When we're constantly bombarded with information tailored to our biases, it can create a distorted reality, making it harder to engage with different perspectives or even challenge our own assumptions.
So instead of the internet being this vast marketplace of ideas, it becomes an echo chamber of our existing beliefs.
Precisely. And as we'll explore in a bit, this has huge implications for everything from political discourse to our ability to make informed decisions in a rapidly changing world. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
it's like we're trapped in our own little digital snow globes, with AI playing the part of a very persuasive puppeteer. So if these filter bubbles are distorting our reality, what can we do about it? How do we break free?
Well, I think awareness is the first step. Just knowing that these algorithms are at play can help you start to see the strings, so to speak.
Okay, because I was starting to think I needed to throw my phone in a lake and live in a yurt in the woods.
But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. There are definitely ways to, to fight back against manipulation.
Yeah.
Both subtle and overt.
Okay, that's a relief. So what's step 1 in our digital detox plan?
Let's talk about those, those subtle nudges. Ianka's research highlights something called irrational influence, which sounds very fancy, but really it just boils down to how digital tools can, tug at our heartstrings.
Yeah.
Even when our brains are telling us to. Step away from the screen.
Tell me about it. It's like they know exactly how to, push my procrastination button.
Exactly. And that's it, that's irrational influence in action. It's about exploiting our emotions and biases.
Yeah.
In ways that bypass our, our rational decision-making processes.
So how do we fight back against something that's practically, hardwired into our biology? Do we need to become robots to outsmart the algorithms?
Not quite. I think it's more about, about awareness and conscious choice. Remember how we talked about AI using your data to,
personalize.
Well, you can actually use that to your advantage. Take control of your settings, limit those notifications, and just, be mindful of the time you spend on certain apps.
Okay, so it's about setting boundaries, like telling that friend who always invites you to last-minute plans, hey, I need a little more notice. Except in this case, it's your phone, and it might not take no for an answer.
Right. And speaking of those, those persuasive friends, remember how we talked about filter bubbles? Diversifying your online diet is crucial to, to breaking free. Actively seek out different perspectives, even if they make you uncomfortable at first.
You're saying I should actually go out of my way to, follow people I disagree with? That sounds challenging, but also kind of refreshing, like a mental palate cleanser.
Exactly. It's like trying a new cuisine. You might not love everything, but it broadens your horizons.
Yeah.
And it helps you appreciate different flavors. The same goes for information.
Okay, so we've talked about, fighting back against those subtle nudges and filter bubbles, but Ianka's research also delves into some, scarier territory, like microtargeting and deepfakes. Those feel like a whole other level of digital manipulation.
They definitely up the ante. Microtargeting takes personalized advertising to to the extreme, using data not just from your online activity, but also things like your purchasing history, demographic information, and even your political affiliations to create these hyper-targeted messages. It's like those personalized ads we talked about earlier, but on steroids.
So instead of just getting an ad for shoes I looked at online, they might use my voting record and my love for organic coffee to tailor a political ad specifically for me. That's both impressive and slightly terrifying.
And then you have deep fakes, which are like something out of, out of a sci-fi thriller. Remember that anecdote about manipulating a politician's speech?
Yeah.
To change their stance on a key issue?
Yeah.
That's the power of deep fakes.
No,
to create incredibly realistic but entirely fabricated videos and audio recordings.
It's like that moment in a movie when you realize the hero has been talking to the villain in disguise this whole time, but instead of a rubber mask, it's lines of code.
Exactly. And as the technology advances, it's becoming increasingly difficult to, to discern what's real from what's fake, which has huge implications for, for trust, accountability, and even democracy itself.
Okay, deep fakes. It's like someone took fake news and just handed it a Hollywood special effects budget. How are we even supposed to navigate a world where we can't trust what we see and hear?
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get more, more complex as this technology, as it evolves. Think of it like a game of cat and mouse, right?
Yeah.
Those creating deep fakes are constantly upping their game. And those trying to detect them are, they're always playing catch up.
So what's our best defense against this? Do we need to become digital detectives or something, armed with magnifying glasses and skepticism?
The healthy dose of skepticism is? Yeah. It never hurts. But seriously, I think a big part of the solution is, it's really just being aware that this technology exists. The more people understand how deep fakes are made and the potential harm they can cause, the less likely they are to be fooled.
So knowledge is power. Yet again, it's like that old saying, right? Once you see the man behind the curtain, the magic loses its appeal.
Exactly. It's about, demystifying these technologies so we can make more informed decisions about the information we, the information we consume. It's also important to, I think, to support the development of
detection tools and technologies. There are some brilliant minds out there working on ways to to authenticate media using things like AI and blockchain, kind of like a digital fingerprint for videos and audio recordings.
So it's a bit of an arms race then, huh? The better the deepfakes get, the better the detectors need to be. In a way, yeah. But it's not, it's not just about technology. It's also about strengthening our our social and legal frameworks.
Yeah.
You know, we need clear guidelines and consequences for, you know, for creating and spreading harmful deepfakes, just like we have laws against, you know, fraud and defamation in the physical world.
That makes sense. It's like, just because you can digitally recreate someone's voice and make them say anything doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Especially if it's gonna, like, you know, cause harm.
Exactly. Ethics and responsibility need to be, you know, part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Right alongside technological advancement.
100%.
But it's important to remember that digital manipulation, well, it isn't always so, you know, so blatant.
You're right. It's not all, like, deep fakes and political propaganda. Sometimes it's those, like, sneakier tactics we talked about earlier. Like, you know, those addictive social media features that keep you scrolling way past your bedtime.
Absolutely. Those features are often designed to, you know, to exploit our natural desire for novelty and connection. So we need to be aware of how these, you know, these seemingly harmless design choices can really impact our behavior and well-being.
So how do we, like, stay ahead of the curve on this stuff? It feels like every day there's a new app, a new algorithm, a new way to, you know, to influence our thoughts and behaviors. It can feel pretty overwhelming, honestly.
It definitely can be. But it's important to remember that, you know?
Yeah.
That you're not powerless. In this digital landscape, right, a good first step is to, you know, to cultivate a healthy sense of skepticism.
But the information you encounter online.
So channel your inner detective. Question everything.
Right.
Exactly. Ask yourself, you know, who created this content? What's their agenda?
Yeah.
And what evidence supports their claims?
Well,
and it's also important to, I think, to diversify your sources of information.
Right.
Don't just rely on social media algorithms to curate your newsfeed. You know, seek out different perspectives, challenge your own biases, and engage in, you know, engage in respectful dialogue with those who hold different views.
It's about, like, being an active participant in your own digital consumption rather than just, you know, passively absorbing whatever comes your way.
Precisely. And remember, it's okay to, you know, to disconnect from time to time. Taking breaks from technology can help you, you know, help you recharge, refocus, and regain control over your digital diet.
So to sum it all up for our listener, navigating this digital landscape is a bit like walking a tightrope. You need a sense of balance, a healthy dose of skepticism, and the awareness to know when to, like, step off and take a break.
I love that analogy.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We explored, you know, the subtle and not so subtle ways AI is shaping our digital lives, from, like, personalized recommendations to, you know, deep fakes that blur the line between reality and fabrication. And while the potential for manipulation is, you know, it's definitely there. The good news is that knowledge and awareness are, like, our greatest defenses by, you know, by understanding how these technologies work and staying critical of the information we consume. We can navigate this digital landscape with our, you know,
their eyes wide open,
making choices that, that align with our values and aspirations. So keep asking questions, stay curious, and until next time, happy deep diving.